It's exactly 8 after the hour 6 on the Mighty Metro FM. Welcome to it. It's Sports That Amplified with Andile. I am Andile Ncube. I'm excited about the rest of this week. I'm really excited about the rest of this week. But firstly, I'd like to say thank you very much to Mapila, to Super Dave, as well as the team that is on air, of course, which is Touch Lindy, as well as Morena. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. They do it again tomorrow between 3 and 6. I'm excited about the rest of this week because we'll be covering such interesting stories. On Thursday, Tshabalala is going to be joining us. And you know how Thursdays goes, right? So tomorrow is another one. I don't want to quite jinx it. I don't want to say it yet. But tomorrow is going to be a big interview as well. One that many South Africans right now in particular are asking themselves so many questions. One that I am very proud of, though. So that interview is coming tomorrow. Hopefully before we go on air, during one of the other shows before us, would have confirmed it enough. Because a lot of these kinds of interviews cancel just before an air. We've had it so many times. So we're hoping that tomorrow's one will come through, and I'll let you know prior to coming on air. Perhaps during Touch's show already, I'll let you know. But Thursday is an interesting one. Tshabalala is coming on. We're going to be spending an hour with Tshabalala. And of course, on Friday, the podcast guys come through, and that's always your favorite show of the week. Today, though, we're going to go to India. South Africa on the verge of a semi-final. Right? Not on the verge. They're on the verge of playing it. The semi-final against Australia. Do you remember the last time we're in a semi-final of the World Cup? Timmy is shouting there. What are you saying? 1999. Alan Donald and Zulu. I've still got scars from that. We're on the verge of another semi-final under the stewardship and leadership of Themba Bavuma, regardless of how you feel about him and his performance at the moment. We're going to another semi-final where it could happen that we meet New Zealand in the final again, because they tomorrow play India. And the winner there goes to the final. Then we play Australia on Thursday to see who goes to the final. So we're going to be speaking cricket. Aslam Kota is going to be talking to us about all things cricket there. So I'm looking forward to that. And we might relive that. And Stuart Hess as well. He's a cricket journalist who is all the way out in India at the moment. So we're going to be going to him as well. And then on the back end of that conversation, Sundowns, speaking about semi-finals, they're in another semi-final. Champions League this time around. And we're going to be getting to them and having conversations about Mamelodi Sundowns with their coach as well, about all things Champions League and how the team is faring, how they're doing out in the Ivory Coast. This, of course, is the Sundowns women's team, the Sundowns ladies team. Tshabalala is the coach there, so we'll be speaking to him about the exploits out in the Ivory Coast. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we speak all things cricket. You asked for it. It's Cricket Tuesday. 3 big games remain in India out at the Cricket World Cup, where we're going to be seeing India, the home team, who's done fairly well. I mean, when you look at that match against South Africa, that's where most of us benchmarked them, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant. But maybe against Netherlands, we started to see some cracks as to how this Indian team can be fought. It's 13 after the hour 6. Let's go to Aslam Kota, cricket analyst and a regular here on the show. Aslam, always great to have you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much. It's good to be on your show, Andile.
He's not alone, though. We're going to be crossing to India as well because we've got cricket journalist and Stuart Hess. Stu, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Evening, Andile.
Let me start with you there, Stuart. I mean, what's it like? What's the mood like in India at the moment with the national team having gone to the semis again after the game with Netherlands? What's the feeling in and around India?
Well, we just flew out of Mumbai this morning and arrived in Kolkata this evening. And, you know, the buzz around Mumbai is incredible. But, you know, when South Africa played India in Kolkata, 10 days ago, I mean, the feeling in the city was very, very difficult to explain. I mean, it was wild. Yeah. It was real mayhem. There's so much excitement. I mean, at that point, there was still the excitement around Virat Kohli making his 49th
on his
49th
birthday.
ODI 100.
And there was just so many things that said India that day, isn't it?
Tying Sachin's record, and so there was so much excitement. And Calcutta, in particular, if you know, Eden Gardens, so much. It's very different to a lot of the other grounds in India. The atmosphere, say in Ahmedabad, is different because the stadium is so far away from the city, whereas Eden Gardens is in the center of Calcutta. It's a real meeting point, and so you just get a whole sense for the excitement that built up around that match, 10 days ago, and of course with all the excitement around Virat Kohli, him being able to then, fulfill all of that, make that 4900 was just an incredible atmosphere to have experienced. So yeah, there's a real buzz, particularly around Mumbai now with India playing that semi-final tomorrow night. So that'll be interesting to see. And then South Africa and Australia are very quietly going about building up ahead of their semi-final on Thursday.
Before we even get there, there's always a feeling around people known as GOATs, in sport. We've termed it GOATs, the Michael Jordans and the likes of. You got the Serena Williams, the Tiger Woods. There's always a thing about them. And Michael Schumacher, you see it with Michael Schumacher in F1 more so than anywhere else, where people want to hold on to the best there ever was, and they want to hold on to their records. They want to hold on to who they were. What was the feeling in and around Virat Kohli equaling and having the chance to surpass what Sachin Tendulkar, who for a long time has been the face of Indian cricket, has been almost a god when it comes to Indian cricket?
Virat Kohli is the face of this tournament. He's everywhere. You can't get away from it. He's in every television ad. They've been running a series of documentaries, but a series of interviews with him on Indian television, both in English and in Hindi, that have been running throughout the tournament. And since we've been here, a lot of it has been built around the 49, tying Tendulkar's record, which is now done. And then, of course, since doing that, the next step is, get to 50 and become the first batter to ever do that. And it can get a little bit, the funny feeling around it can be that sometimes that is almost more important than India winning the World Cup. I don't think for the rest of the players in that squad that is the case. And Rahul Dravid's a very conscientious individual, and he will ensure that, India comes first and India winning the World Cup comes first. So that will be something that will be worth watching. But look here, Virat Kohli is a man for the big occasion. He loves it. He thrives in the spotlight. We saw that at Eden Gardens a couple of weeks ago. I fully expect him to perform to perform at his best over the next couple of matches. Should there be 2 matches for India?
Stuart Hess is out in India, of course. He's a cricket journalist covering the ICC World Cup at the moment. Aslam Kota, before we even go to speaking about South Africa and Australia in that grudge match, I call it, because 1999 still hurts me. Let's focus on India first. Looking at how they've come out of the groups and how they've made it into the semi-finals, would you call them favourites?
Absolutely. They're playing at home. And Andile, if you look at the recent record of the last 3 World Cups, initially in the last, 10 World Cups, none of the home teams won. The last 3, the home teams have won. India, and then Australia, and England in 2019. So I must say that apart from that, all the form favors India in the way they're playing. Their team is just so beautifully balanced, and all of them have found form and clicking at the same time. And I think they just be the key ingredient for any team sport at any competition such as the World Cup, whether it's soccer or rugby or cricket in this case, where all of the guys find form and even sometimes moderate form. I remember in 2019, one of the issues there was, apart from the injuries and all of the shenanigans that surrounded the South African team before they left for the tour, I think there it was a case of most of the top batters not finding form. And that is why South Africa came so short, and I think that was possibly their most dismal performance at the World Cup. But India certainly looked very strong. I mean, everything counts and favors them. They're even playing at the ground where I'm just seeing a report now where Rohit Sharma is saying this particular ground, the toss is not important. And yet that has been perhaps one of the fundamental and key factors of how the World Cup has panned out, because the pitches have been so good. And if you put runs on the board, you generally win. And I expect that it's going to be the same for them come tomorrow. But like everybody else around the world, I think they wouldn't mind a surprise, because I'd like to say this personally right up front, is that I'd like a new name on the ICC World Cup trophy, New Zealand or South Africa.
And I hear that, and I respect it, and I'd love to see a New Zealand South Africa final here, Stuart. But what are the feasibility and possibilities when you look at the form of all 4 teams going into this final? Could there be a big upset? Could you see India leaving in the semi-finals? I mean, you look at what's happened in the World Cup so far, and it's almost I don't know. It's hard to believe that it can happen. Yeah, you can look at New Zealand and India. India winning, I think, was 4 wickets, 12 balls remaining in that match there. What is the possibility of that? It looks like it's got India, beautiful story written all over it.
Well, isn't that just the nature of an upset? I mean, an upset means there's a possibility that the team that isn't favoured can get up. And New Zealand have shown before that they are capable of pulling off a surprise result. They did it at where did they play in 2019 at Old Trafford? They did it against India then when nobody expected them to. New Zealand finished 4th that year in the round robin phase. India topped it. New Zealand pulled off the win in the semi-final, and I've seen a lot of commentators on this side say it. Everything that has happened in the last 7 weeks counts for absolutely nothing now. You've got 4 teams here. It's a one-off game. You're able to produce your best form. Somebody comes off with something miraculous. You pull off a great run out, a couple of good catches, and suddenly you find yourself in a position where you could push for a win. New Zealand did that 4 years ago. There's every chance that they could do it again. It would be a massive upset, yes, but that's the very nature of it. Is that something surprising could happen. South Africa, Australia, I suspect is going to be a lot closer. Those are 2 teams that have played well. Australia have just run into some excellent form in the last couple of weeks. I also think they've gotten a little bit lucky. The Glenn Maxwell, as brilliant as that innings was last week, it took a good chunk of luck. Afghanistan dropped a sitter there, and when he was on 20. So you can't eliminate that. The very nature of calling something an upset means that it's possible that it can happen. And even as good as India have been in this tournament, there's every chance that New Zealand could pull off something special.
Aslam, are you surprised at all by how the Proteas have performed and made it to the semi-finals? I mean, when you think of Proteas going into a World Cup, we've had way bigger names with bat and ball. We've had way better squads, perhaps even. This squad, a lot quieter in terms of the fanfare going into this, but look at how they've performed. Are you a little bit surprised?
I'll be very honest, because that's a good question, and my answer would be yes. Until they made it 3-2 against Australia just before the World Cup here in a series that took place in South Africa, I must say that I almost felt that this is possibly the weakest team on paper that's actually going across, because there's no big-time heroes apart from, say, Rabada at the bottom of the order and Quinton de Kock at the top of the order. All the other players clearly very, very talented, and they began to show that in recent weeks. And I must admit, I felt that way. But slowly, they gained in confidence. And I think it gave us also lots of confidence that there is something happening here. And I remember mentioning yesterday in another interview that it's the quality of the management and the way they've been led all the way through that has perhaps seen this transition and transformation of the South African team. Of course, Stuart is much closer to the action and maybe at the heart of the matter, where he can maybe pinpoint why they've performed this way, and why they've also had those few issues where they made things difficult when batting second.
Stuart, that's been a big talk, isn't it? The Proteas batting second. I mean, alongside Themba Bavuma, I think that's going to go out as our biggest talking points for this World Cup.
So just to handle the one issue that Aslam has raised there about why the team has performed as well as they have, I think around about the time that Rob Walter as white ball coach came in and Shukri Conrad was my test coach, they found a lot of clarity, or they endeavored to provide the players with a lot of clarity around how they wanted to play. And that is something that has been implemented at this World Cup. I think a lot of credit needs to go to Shukri Conrad, because that first series against England in January, that's where things started to click for the Proteas. It started to click for Themba Bavuma and this batting style that we've seen. So particularly when batting first, they are very clear about how they want to go about things. They've implemented the strategies that they've wanted to implement, and it has been sensational. Even before the World Cup, if you think back to that series against Australia, the way that they've set up the innings, allowing the likes of Aiden Markram Heinrich Klaas and David Miller to bat the way they do in the last 20 overs of an innings. Coming to the chasing part of it, there is weirdly enough, listening to Rob Walter, the head coach, talk this morning, there is an understanding of how they want to go about the chase. They just haven't managed it properly yet. So the two successful chases that they've had at this World Cup was against Pakistan and the one against Afghanistan last Friday. In both those instances, they had a top six batter, bat the chunk of the innings. Against Pakistan, it was Aiden Markram. He didn't see it through to the end. You needed Keshav Maharaj to keep his cool there and get them across the line. And the other night in Ahmedabad, you saw Rassie van der Dussen show a great deal of patience and manage the innings very well until Andile Pehlokwayo could come in there and smash it at the end.
Listen, I was proud to be in Andile when Andile did that. I think there wasn't a moment when Andile saved the country there, Stuart. I just had to say that.
So, indeed, but for Andile to do what he did, you needed a senior batter, in that case, Rassie van der Dussen, to stay in there, take charge and to manage that process through until the end of the innings. And what Rob Walter said this morning was understanding how to manage the chase is going to be important, and an important element in managing the chase is that they get one of the top four batters to bat the majority of the innings. And if they're able to do that, everybody else bats around them. He feels that they'll be able to chase, and I think they feel that they'll be able to chase. It's a funny old thing. They haven't been offered a lot of chances to chase, but they haven't managed those chases very well. I think they know how they want to do it. It's a case of just, going out there and implementing that particular strategy in much the same way that they are very clear and have been able to implement the strategy when they bat first.
So it's going to be one of those, Aslam, where when the coin toss happens, all of us have got to be thinking this game is going to be won in two parts. But the first part is we need to win that coin toss and hope to bat first.
Well, that's one thing that you're not in control of, is the toss. And I know that teams in pre-match situations would be discussing that. They'd be having strategies down and plans down for either or. And, you can't depend on the coin. You've got to depend on your skill, your talent, and your planning. So that's very important. I mean, Stuart has made some very important points. And one of them, of course, for me is that I'm hoping that South Africa can perform where they actually chase down a total, whatever it may be, in the semi-final, to bury that goes 1-4 and take the country to the next step we deserve to be going. It's important that South Africa win. I said this yesterday as well, that the game the country needs it. Stuart and I, before he left,
right, Aslam, the line not very great here. Aslam, of course, here in South Africa, we do every now and then have those issues with our lines, but we're going to try and sort that out. We still do, though, have on the line all the way from India, Stuart Hess, who's joined us for this conversation. Stuart, I started this by opening it up, speaking about 1999. I think it was the 17th of June. It must be, because that's the indelible mark it's left on me. Lance Klusener and Alan Donald. I remember the War brothers were there, but I think it was Fleming that bowled that last over. And it's something that we'll never forget. Of course, Australia goes on to win that one. It's another semi-final. We're facing Australia again. Talk to me about South Africa versus Australia and what that rivalry looks like and what it's been over the years compared to what it is now.
I mean, look, it's sort of the central game in South Africa's, I guess, problems at World Cups. It always comes down to that 99 game. People point out the other issues that South Africa have had at World Cups before, but whenever you discuss South Africa and World Cups, 1999 in Birmingham comes up. And these guys that are here now, both Temba and the rest of his side, none of them were around then.
Because what is it, 20, 25, 26 years ago? So you're right.
They have to kind of carry that baggage. And listen, I haven't seen it yet. I know there's a couple of ex-Australians that have come out, including Damien Fleming, who has come out and said he hopes that the current generation of Aussies that are going to play on Thursday remind this current generation of South Africans about the history and the baggage that they do carry. And that's just the nature of it. At some point, I've been saying the same thing now for the last 10 years. South Africa have just got to grow up. You're going to be confronted with this difficult situation. I suspect there's going to be a point in the game on Thursday when the pressure is going to be as harsh as any of those players have ever known. And you've got to confront it and you've got to overcome it. You're a professional cricketer. We keep hearing about these guys saying that they stick to a process. Because they are able to they have the processes in place. That means that when the pressure situations arise, they can just clearly confront the situation as it is, as opposed to worry about the pressure that situation is. And I think, that's just something that these guys are gonna have to do. You can't hide away from it. You just got to go out there and confront it. And hopefully they're in the right space. They've certainly showed that they are playing the right brand of cricket. They're playing well. They are confident. Then they should just go out there and do what they've been doing for the last 6-7 months. And that the other thing is to keep in mind, they've got a very good recent record against Australia. I think they've won 8 out of the last 10 ODIs against them. There's every reason to feel that they can go out there and win that game on Thursday. There's no reason to take a step back, and there's no reason to be shy if Australia do want to remind you about 99, because none of them were there.
Aslam, Stuart has been asking a question, and I think it's an important one, and I know it's one that I've avoided thinking about even. Can we start to dream? Is it possible that South Africans can now start to dream of a possibility that we might just be world champions?
Getting to the team in the semi-final.
All right, that's not working out there, so I'm going to come back to you, Stuart. I know you have been at length in discussing this as a journalist, provoking thought. Can we begin to dream of winning this ICC World title? Can we win our first one? Can we, under the stewardship of Themba Bavuma and this team, with the Makram, Fundadesons, the Andile Petlugwayos and the likes, can we begin to dream?
I think they were doing that before they came to India. The self-belief within the South African team is immense. There was a lot of people that didn't give them an opportunity to be in the Final Four. They certainly weren't.
I must be very honest, Stuart. I'm one of them, and profusely apologize to the guys and for not believing in them as much. But I am one of them.
I don't think it's necessary to do that. South Africa in the last 2 years didn't really give people
reason to believe.
Exactly. They were the last team to get an automatic qualifying position in this tournament. So, but with the work that they've done, and I keep coming back to it, with the work that they've done since January, with Rob Walter, with Shukri Conrad, in just clarifying how they want to play, and by doing all of that stuff, by the time they got into this tournament, they knew how they wanted to play. That's always very, very important, to know how you want to play, and then once you know how you want to play, then you've got to go about trying to implement it. And they've implemented how they've wanted to play beautifully. And so it's a case of, I guess, just continuing to do that. So within the squad, the Proteas feel, yes, they can win this. They can win this World Cup. I can guarantee you that, just from hanging around with the guys, from talking to them, even off mic, just quietly, just personally asking them, how's everything going? The belief in the squad is very, very strong. They may not often say it publicly, but privately, they genuinely believe that they can do this. And the fact that if they are the only group of people that think they can, that's all that matters. How we feel about it as outsiders, me as a journalist or commentator, it doesn't matter. It's if they within that group have the self-belief and they can see a path to winning the World Cup, then all that matters.
What do you make of the Themba Bavuma conversation? Because I saw now, the latest headlines is not nobody's undroppable, not even Themba Bavuma. What do you make of the Themba Bavuma conversation going into this knockout match, going into this, the biggest match South Africa's played in almost 30 years, really?
Look, the context around it quickly needs to be explained. He did pick up an injury. It looked very bad, actually. In Ahmedabad on Friday night. He could barely run. That's an important part of his game, both as a fielder, because he's the best fielder in that side, but also as a batter.
And that's one part of his game that nobody remembers when they go at tempo. That probably the best by far when it comes to being the fielder in that team.
Yeah, he's the best fielder in that team. And then the other part is how he structures his innings. So he needs to, he's not a big boundary hitter from the start. So he needs to get some confidence into his innings. So he does that by being able to take quick singles, being able to turn ones into twos, and he gets himself going, and then he can start to find the boundary. Now, if his hamstring isn't allowing him to do that, then they have a tough decision to make. Then the bot about no one is undroppable comes in, because then he's not able to deliver his best for the team, and that then inhibits the team. You're basically handicapping yourself. So that's something that they will have to carefully consider now when it comes to the way that they're managing this injury. These things it's a process, as Rob Walter said. So there's been treatment since Saturday. They flew to Calcutta on Sunday. They had a training session yesterday. They're having a big training session, which they're wrapping up now. So once they then assess that, because obviously you train, then you assess, more rehab takes place. You got to assess the recovery process. Then you got to train again, so to make sure that he's 100% fit. So that's the things that they're going to do over the next 24 hours ahead of that game. And then I think from a form perspective, look, Rob Walter made a very good point this morning. He said they don't base, as selectors, what he's done only in the World Cup. Bavuma was the leading run scorer for 18 months before this World Cup for South Africa in one-day cricket. The body of work they look at is much bigger than just these 5 or 6 weeks at the World Cup. So they're going to remember from that perspective. I think you've got to keep in mind he's the captain. As the captain, you always get extra leeway. It has been the case going back to the days of Cronje, Vessels, Graham Smith. I can remember going through a bad patch for about a year. So that's how they're going to assess it. The captain always gets a bit of extra leeway. The only thing that they will consider very strongly is that he's 100% fit, and that is something that they're going to give him up until tomorrow night, probably before they make a final decision.
Stuart Hess, all the way out in India. Thank you so much for talking to us, and hopefully we'll be speaking very, very good news come the next time we speak. Thank you so much, and thank you for the amazing work that you're doing out in India.
Cheers, man. Thanks a lot.
That's Stuart Hess, cricket journalist there. Let's wrap it up with Aslam Kota now, who is here in South Africa, and of course a regular here on the show. Aslam, the line wasn't great to us today, but what's your last one on this? Proteas, a possible final against either New Zealand or India. But firstly, we must beat our arch nemesis, those that snatched it from us on the 17th of June 1999, Australia.
Well, look, I'd just like to say make one point on what Stuart has just raised on Temba Bavuma, is that Rob Walter has said that what they would like to do for this World Cup final is to not leave naming the team on the day, and rather do it overnight. But if they force to, and I'm quite certain, because that point has been covered by Stuart, that because this is the captain of the team, if it means that they have to leave it for the next day, then they might do that. But if it's an injury that's not healing, and if there's even still a slight niggle, then there could be doubts on them making it on the field. So let's just hope that the next 24 hours are going to be all positive. What was interesting also is that he definitely batted in the nets. He looked a lot more swift as far as movement was concerned, but he didn't do the high pressure tests, the training out in the field. So obviously that is maybe just to make sure that they keep things calm. I guess that they have a full tilt at his body work tomorrow, or body of work tomorrow. That means running between wickets in the nets, and then also in the outfield. And that will basically be part of what I would think is the fitness test, and that will determine the captain's position for the semi-final. Yeah, I do believe that they are the nemesis. I mean, they've actually played in 5 finals, and they've not been beaten. So that is an enviable record in any sport, for that matter. And can South Africa stop them? If you look at it currently, given South Africa's form against Australia, that you would say that they're the only team that have that capability. But as I said at the top of the show, that I'm afraid of the Australians because they're clearly a good cup team, and when you meet them in the semi-final, it's never going to be easy. I tend to say that I prefer to have played any of the other two teams in the semi-final than Australia. But I'm holding thumbs because, as I said, the game needs it, the victory from the South African team, and it needs it desperately here to lift the game from maybe the depths that it's been sinking to in recent times. I know that it's an anomaly and it's a contradiction because there's a team that's got to the semi-final. And what's wrong with cricket domestically? I think there are a lot of questions to be answered. But one of the fundamental issues is that if that comes through, it will give the game a fillip in every department, from control to administration, and as far as coaching and all of it also goes. And hopefully that will give South Africa the type of encouragement and inspiration the rugby team has given us since 1995.
Aslam, Kota, really appreciate your views there. And of course, we say thank you so much to Stuart Hess as well, all the way out in India. It's Cricket Tuesday on Sports Amplified with Andile. 086-000-2160. Give us a call and WhatsApp on 060-552-7303. Coming up next, Mamelodi Sundowns ladies coach. It's exactly 18:42, taking your calls in about 8 minutes of all things cricket, all things football, because we're speaking football now. Jerry Tshabalala joins us from the Ivory Coast. Bonjour, Monsieur Jerry Tshabalala. Jerry Ngiqakile. Mjerer.
Hey, Mr. Ncube.
Ngithi bonsoir, Monsieur Jerry Tshabalala.
Bonsoir, ça va bien?
Ah, ça va. Et toi?
Ça va.
You're all the way in Ivory Coast, a French-speaking nation, and we just wanted to call you, as we normally do, and you know how often you're on the show. We show you love and respect. Sundowns on the verge, once again, of making history. Talk to me about the journey so far, Jerry.
Yeah, first thing first, we really appreciate you guys for putting our name on the map. If it wasn't like people like you at Metro with the support that you guys have been giving us, we really appreciate it. Look, man, Cote d'Ivoire, very hot. Quite hot. As I speak to you now, we're just about to train. We are just 15 minutes away from training, but I'm willing to have a chat with you guys. We've got a big game coming tomorrow against, I wouldn't say it's our rivals. It's one of the teams that we have never got a chance to beat, which is as far in the entire tournament. But we're looking forward to that. We're just sharpening our players for tomorrow's game.
Because, I mean, this is a team that disturbed you in the final.
Yeah, for sure. The team that really disturbed us in the final. 2021, we had a chance to play them. We only play a draw. But hopefully tomorrow we'll get one over them.
Terry, if you won this would be a second in a very short space of time. This would cement Mamelodi Sundowns ladies even further, not only entrench them in the continent, but in world football. Whether you win this or not either, though, it doesn't even matter, because when you look at what you've done, you've won it, you've been in the finals, and now you're in the semi-finals. Already, Jerry, you and your team have done so well.
Yeah, look, Andile, that's why we're here. We always want to win. It's in our blood. We want to win. We can't have any if you cannot win it in our vocab. We must just have, we want to win it always in our vocab. Look, credit must also go to the girls, to the management of Sundowns for supporting these girls, for seeing to it that these girls are professional players. Even on my side, to see to it that I improve these players. If these players were not professional, I wouldn't be able to improve them. But I've got the entire time to work with these players, which makes things easier for us as a team and a technical team to get the best out of the players. And
I don't even know how you've done it, because you're missing Bambanani Mbane. Yet you are yet to concede a goal. You've kept 100% record. I don't know how you've done it. No,
it's not only Bambanani Mbane. When you look, we don't have Lelona Taweti, one of the top strikers. We don't have Tiseto Makubela, one of our top defenders. The new players that we recruited as well in Taton Tooth. But it goes back to the recruiting system, how we recruit players, and we always recruit players who can play any position. So I'm bigger than these two.
I can imagine the chairman is going to be joining you guys in Ivory Coast. A little bit of support from home.
Yeah, for sure. You know, the management has always been supportive, and surely the chairman will be here. I guess possibly in the final, chairman will be here.
I can imagine. Also, over the weekend, we saw on Sunday, Sundowns, the men's team, making history, winning the inaugural AFL. The girls, were you guys watching that? Were you able to see it? Because, I mean, I was all the way in Tanzania. I wasn't able to see it because I was a bit busy, but I know it was shown there. Were you guys able to see it in Ivory Coast?
Yeah, we were able to see it. Before they came, we even sent the boys a message to say they must go out there and do what they do best, which is to win, you know. And I think the message that we sent to them, it really motivated them. Also the win, you know, it also motivated the girls to say, if the boys can do it, we can also do it.
Manje, the men's team, bane AFL, bane star from the Champions League. Une Champions League, uzothola is 2-2 ke ithrow le nto mos. No, Jeremy, I believe in you. I always have, and I still do. I believe in you 100%. I believe in your team. All the best. I can't wait to speak to you on the other side of the weekend and congratulate you. And hopefully your players would be able to come here and we'll celebrate. Jerry, this was just to say good luck, as we always do. All the best for the semi-finals.
Thank you, family. For the support, we really appreciate.
Jerry Tshabalala, coach of Mamelodi Sundowns ladies. They're in the semi-finals of the Champions League. They're 2 games away from getting yet another Champions League trophy.
Drop us a voice note on 060 552 7303.
Waking up, turned up. All right, here we go.
Call Metro FM now on 0860 002160.
Calls on 086-000-2160. I'll say it a little bit slower. Just for you, we have the code free 086-000-2160. Let's go to Sisi. Sisi's out in Mpumalanga. Sisi, it's been a while. Are you well?
Yes, I'm also recovering from the rugby.
Oh, Sisi, your line not great today. Can you hear me?
Hi, Andile.
There you go. Much better. Talk to me.
Yes, I'm still recovering from the rugby.
Yeah. I can imagine you want to speak cricket.
Yeah, I want to speak cricket.
Go for it.
I was hearing how you were traumatized by 99.
Hey, how old were you in 1999?
A whole lot older, Andile.
Yeah, no, I mean, it traumatized me. I can't, maybe because I was too young.
I was traumatized actually by the 1992 World Cup, the first World Cup that South Africa actually participated in. And where the rain actually came down and the balls, 22 runs. I think we had 22 runs and we had one.
No, man, the Doug Lewis method, was that 92?
It was still not called the Doug Lewis.
Oh, okay. This was, so it hit us twice then.
So what I hope happens on Thursday is that the rain comes down and then no cricket is played so that we can just march to the final. I think the rain was something.
No, I agree. If they're going to do anything, this is the time to pay back.
No, this is the time.
But looking at how we performed in this World Cup, I haven't always had, and you know, I'm very honest when I come on this radio, I haven't always been 100% on board with the Proteas. Do you have hope that we can make it to the final? Can we beat Australia? Because once you get to a final, anything's possible. But this semi-final hurdle is the big one.
Yes, I guess the semi-final, and if you notice, Australia, they have a tendency to actually peak at the right times in World Cup. So I'm just afraid that they're just peaking at the right time. So I guess what is important there is winning the toss, and whether we bat first or we bat second, because it also depends on the conditions on the day.
Oh, so, you know what, Sisi? I really love our conversation. You know that, but your line not the best today, so I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter, but really appreciate your being a part of the show here. Let's go to Lesibe. Lesibe is out in Nguruleni. Another regular we haven't seen in a while. Lesibe.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Guys. How are you?
Hey, man, I thought you were going to call yesterday. I was waiting for you.
No, the show is getting big and big. Even the chairman is waiting to go through it. But that's a chance.
No, it's fine, Lesibe. It's always a pleasure to have you. Go for it.
Yes. A very good segment that we had with your guest earlier on about the cricket. Though I'm a little bit skeptical, but remain patriotic towards my country. I'm worried that Australia is starting to pick up their form when it matters most. And still hope that our boys can carry the momentum and go to the last hurdle. Though, Andile, I want us to have a very honest opinion. For me, Kemba, he's more like a Jack Callis, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm not sure if this format suits him better to be playing that leading role, to be honest with you.
Why do you say that? I mean, you heard what Stuart Hess said. I mean, he gave us a stat that even I hadn't thought of before, to say, 18 months, Themba Bavuma was the leading run scorer in the South African team in this format.
Yeah, true. I listened to that. I had a very different opinion because for me, when initially when I voted, I wanted to bash him to say that, can you just be honest without bringing the race card and all other things into question?
I must be very honest. This was the first person who's actually put it into context.
Yeah. So now, after listening to him, it's a different ball game. But I just hope, to be honest with you, I think it's time for us to give others a chance, maybe to prove themselves. Because of if he's going to play that kind of cricket, for me, I don't think he can carry us towards the finishing line.
Let's see it go. I mean, we don't even know if the man is going to be able to participate in the match. Of course, there is that injury that we're all hoping he's going to be able to get over and make it to that team. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much for going with us in this cricket route as well. Lesibe, always on board. We appreciate it. Hey, what a weekend, right? It's filled with thrilling football action. It had the international break looming as well. There's plenty more to do on Betway. Try your luck with a range of slots or take to the sky with Aviator. The action never stops with Betway. Let's go to Sibongeleni. Sibongeleni Simatafileni. Sibongeleni. Hey.
After a long time,
Ngibona kona.
Hey, I just want to say a quick one. I've heard about the news of FIFA ban Guichipa United. My free advice to our team at the STV Premiership is that they must respect their players' contract. It's been, I think it's a third team now, if not the fourth one. First it was Chiefs, and then
you can go back to Ajax as well. Remember Ajax?
Yes, Ajax Cape Town. I think it's high time now they respect their players' contract, and it's very surprising because they are doing it to the players who are not from here in South Africa.
If you didn't know this, because obviously we didn't cover it during the cricket that we're doing. Chipa United have been banned from making transfers by FIFA, who punished the club over a dispute with former player Abdi Banda. There was sent a communication, I think, as of last evening. So that's where we are at the moment with that, and that's what Sibongeleni is talking about. Sibongeleni, I appreciate that one there. At the moment, we've also got Royal AM who are going through the same thing. Remember, Kaizer Chiefs went through the same thing, and many say that was the beginnings of the struggle for Kaizer Chiefs. I remember, I think it was Ajax, yeah? Timmy was Ajax. It was definitely Ajax as well. Through Ndoro, who went through a similar matter as well, if memory serves me right. But let's go to Desmond. Desmond is out in Mabopane. Desmond.
Andile.
Hey, Taola.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a word of appreciation to Mamelodi Sundowns ladies team because they're doing the most out there in the coast. So I just wanted to congratulate them and also congratulate the Proteas. I know they're going to make us proud in the semi-final against Australia.
All right, listen, man. This is the most earnest call in a long time. Desmond, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Andy.
Took your time out just to give a call and say good luck. I mean, that's what I was speaking about yesterday. How do you say thank you? How do you say, I support you? And guys, I double down on what I said yesterday, by the way. And we'll have the conversation on Friday with the Podcast Friday guys as well. I double down on it. I really do. Let's go to the KZN now. If Timmy can just move so I can see who's there. But let's make it to the KZN. Who's this? That's it up. It's Mamu. Okay, anyway. Well, that line is gone there. Timmy not so great with his numbering. Let's play some of your voice notes.
Drop us a voice note on 060 552 7303.
Waking up, turned up.
Good evening, Maanda. This is Kelezo from Khokwane village, right? Just ask for me, the coach, if there's no way we can swap Bavuma for Putuguayo, maybe Bavuma he must just be there on the sixth better, and then Putuguayo can be the first or second. Please.
I mean, we're wondering if
the
he's
way
going to be fit
Putuguayo played, he helped us. He really he didn't even try to trap the balls and stuff. He knew that we are under pressure. He was taking chances. Like, I mean, from 17, I think we were 17 balls, 17 runs. And then the whole game changed. That's when Portugal put us on the map.
I really
so even
the
the last game when we won, we beat Afghanistan or something, where Maharaj was a hero. So, but the main one just asked for me about Portugal. If you can't use him as the first batter.
Well, we can't. Andile Petluga coming in 7th in the last match, scoring 39 runs just off 37. I appreciate all the soccer guys that are speaking cricket, but Trapadi Bolo, it's much appreciated. Let's go to Tiamo. Tiamo's in Johannesburg, wants to speak cricket. Tiamo.
Yeah,
no, boy.
Look, two things. One, I just want to say good luck to the Proteas for when is the game? On Thursday?
It's on Thursday, yeah.
Good luck. We'll all be watching. We're supporting the boys 100% behind them. Number two, some of the comments you made yesterday, Andile, man, about Sundowns.
100%. I double down and stand by them. I think it's about time. Listen, Tiamo, this is possibly the best team of our generation, this current generation, right?
Yeah.
By far. Right?
Yeah.
They've given us enjoyment. They've given us enjoyment and pleasure. And you're telling me that the supporters of the team can't buy a ticket to go and watch?
Two things. That's why I get share. One, key issue, people are accusing you guys of favoritism. You always have Sundowns people on your show. You're always talking about Sundowns.
No,
right?
they're saying we're not. That's what you're not understanding, Tiamo. They're saying we're not having. They're saying we're not liking Sundowns.
True, I agree. Yesterday you had said, Gary, your stats show that you guys are always talking about Sundowns, and that's what you're trying to. So what I'm saying to you is, I fully understand. Look, it's topical. We all know, on radio and on television, you only talk about things that are newsworthy. Sundowns is always making the news, and that is why you guys are kind of forced to sort of always talk about Sundowns because they are topical. They are always making the news. That's number one. Number two, I just think, look, I totally agree with what you said yesterday. I just think the timing of it all is what sort of upset a lot of people. Because when you suddenly think, remember when the Springboks won the World Cup, right? Everyone is happy. Julius comes and says, "There's transformation, what? Yeah, the point that he's raising.
Tiamo, how old are you?
We should be talking. Old enough, my brother.
No, because you sound younger than me and you're giving me very wise thoughts there. I agree with you 100% on that second point. 100%. Sure. Thank you so much, Tiamo. But it's never a fight. It's always a conversation on here. I agree with you. Tiamo there with some very good points. The first one you got the other way around. It was, no, you never talk about them. The timing. You're right. But, the timing was because of what had happened. We've got to get out of here. Thank you so much for every single one of you that listens to the show. There's a certain brother and sisterhood that we share, and I like that. We don't always have to agree, but we respectfully always meet each other somewhere. That's an amazing thing. Got to get out of here. Timmy, ole para, pela, nganzomi.